it's hard to generalize. I don't want to say Indians do this and we do this. No, it's nothing like that. But I would say my passion for architecture comes from my hometown. I come from small town, or small in Indian context, but not so small in context. I come from a town called Chandigarh, which is quite known for one particular reason. It was designed by Le Corbusier, and it was one of the first modern cities of independent India after we got independence. And my hometown is very much like Barbican.
Thank you, Monika. Thank you for coming along, taking your time, walking down from St.
Cross Street.
St. Cross Street. Yeah, I don't remember your office address. I'm not the man for geographies. Yeah, no, thanks for coming out and everything.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No, you're very welcome. I've seen so much beautiful stuff come out, which I'm sure will come out in the conversation, but I'm really interested to chat. But first of all, design and strategy. Just give everyone a bit of a fit in. What does that look like day to day?
Day to day, so I've been with Oktra for 9 years now. Over years, I got great opportunity to play with my different skill sets, from architecture to strategy to design. So just wrapping all my skill sets around different projects. And over the 8 years, my role had now evolved into this design and strategy director, which is basically, I don't just look at workplace projects from design perspective, but we look after our client or like the corporate clients, which might have multiple locations across the businesses. So there's a new team set up at Oktra called endeavour, and I'm part of that team. I'm quite proud that we've set up this specific team where my skill set can be applied and grown into. So we look at the real estate strategy, the workplace strategy, the overall piece to help our clients from the very beginning, not just design.
This is a new team that does this.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yes.
Carry on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So that's the main vision and the goal for this new team, where we work with the client from the very beginning, and it's the same team which understand their bigger goal, bigger purpose about how they want to roll out multiple projects across the country, or if there's a real estate strategy about expansion or about bringing a couple of offices together. So we apply our knowledge from the very beginning with the client to help them understand their business and roll out that strategy across different properties. So that's why
Just in it right from the start.
Yeah.
And the whole workplace strategy piece all the way through design direction.
Yeah, then you at least don't have that loss of information. You don't have parcel of brief or a project being passed from one hand to another. It is like a continuous approach where you are a person right at the beginning with the client, but you also get to see the end product throughout the journey of the project.
That's lovely. How long has that been in place?
So Evolve been set up earlier this year. So it's formally been set up this year, but the core team, the senior leadership team, three of us, myself, James, and then we've been working together for almost prior to that year together to make sure we get the vision right, we get the team right, and all the aspects of how we want to work together in place before we roll it out.
You kind of you did do the business strategy piece as well as now working on client strategy.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
No, we're very excited about it.
The whole Oktra as a brand and Oktra as a company, its offerings beyond just to the client. Hey, congratulations.
Thank you.
Very nice. And zooming back in time into the past, like what was an early project that you did or you remember?
Yes, we did talk about once. I think the early, it's hard to pinpoint one project and then go in detail about the project and say this is like the one project I want to go up, I guess. For me, it's the journey which led me to that project, and it's like certain points in my career so far, which I feel I would love to talk about. Maybe worth mentioning. So I was never into workplace or interior design world. I'm trained as an architect, and when I came here, my specialization was all around sustainability and building physics and core architecture. And when I started practicing as a young um, graduate into the industry, that's when in 2008, Lehman Brothers crashed. The whole industry kind of crashed. So I was working for years and years in architecture, but none of the projects would get off the ground. And you end up doing a lot of planning feasibility. And I think that was also a little bit of turning point in my career where, because the architecture projects weren't moving forward as much, I started collaborating or getting involved on the other side of the design studio, which was focusing on the refurbishment projects, which was still happening. And when you're young, you want to see like the end result of your project is done. You want to see your projects come to life. So I started working with interior design team and workplace strategy team, and I just got introduced into the world of workplace design and never looked back since. Like it's been quite a like experience for me, and that's how I got into workplace to begin with. And but because I'm an architect, I always had this inclination towards like the core architecture as well. But I was going into the world of workplace, and London being a place where there's a lot of historic buildings, a lot of buildings are encouraged to be refurbished rather than taking it off and starting from scratch, which I think is a very good approach. There were a lot more opportunities to work on buildings where you could keep the core architecture, the fabric of the building in place, but then begin doing something new, exciting internally into that space. And then the project which kind of gave me opportunity to test both side of my skill set, the architecture and the workplace design, is developer project I did back in 2018, PortSokin.
I've seen this one.
Have you?
Yeah, the character.
Quite a beast of a building.
Was it like the biggest design and build project at the time or something? I'm sure it's something like
Yes, it was one of the biggest design and build project of the UK at the time. We worked from the very beginning with the client and the developers and everyone. It was quite a big working committee on that project. Different stakeholders from end users, because we understood the end user, the tenant who would take the building, to people who are trying to market that building into the industry of workplace, and the landlord who has got special interest in terms of how they want to develop their property. All these different stakeholders play quite a key role. So I got involved in that project to work as a lead designer. And I was quite passionate about that building from the very beginning because I used to cycle past it so many times. And it's like one of those brutalistic, masculine buildings. Every time I speak to people around like my industry, like the postmodernism or brutalistic architecture is kind of a category that's like a Marmite love or hate relationship. Same with the Barbican as well. Like I'm a big fan of Barbican.
I'm definitely not.
I do not.
I'm praying. Yeah, I'm on the opposite. I just think it just got no finesse. I just can't believe anyone likes it.
I
But
absolutely
it's brilliant.
great part of it. It's just like I go there and I just can't stop looking at stuff and the detailing and everything. So this particular building, PortSokin, it's not really like a super cool brutalistic architecture, but it comes from that era where there's a big stock of 80s building around City of London with these tinted, horrible, brown, bronzy, glazing. And there was just something like the grand scale about about that particular building, which I had always admired. And when we got this opportunity to work on that building, I was like really passionate. Um, it had a massive atrium, which was like I had this idea that we should infill that atrium completely because it wasn't doing anything. But then at the same time, it was quite a big chunk of real footprint to be added to the building. And how do you manage the lighting and everything? And unless like you understand the end user, which is because we had worked or I have worked like extensively in workplace industry, done so many space planning exercises and all that stuff. I could see how the new floor plate, which we were carving out internally into that big building, is going to work out. So I could see what the end result could be, and that understanding of end product and the core architecture kind of helped me to sell my idea to the stakeholder teams and convince them how these two can be merged together. And what I'm saying, how this floor needs to be carved out, is actually going to work because I understand what the tenants are going to be looking for in this building. So all those elements kind of, I felt like it was a melting pot for my own personal skill set to be able to test my strategy skill set, where we're looking at a bigger strategy, lots of stakeholder involved, and how do you manage different personalities, different people with different sort of interests. That level of skill set to looking after building from the core architecture perspective, and then a workplace fit out. So all that worked really well for me, and that was one of the projects I really, really enjoyed working on.
Amazing. I can tell you enjoyed it. Just by having you talk, you know what I mean? That's like some of the energy. It's great. I've got about 4 million questions, which I won't be able to ask them all, but I want to zip back. You said when you came here. When did you come here?
I came here in 2008.
Okay, brilliant. And that's when you landed in the UK. You decided to set up a life here.
No, I wasn't sure whether I was gonna stay here for very long. I came here to do my post graduation from Architecture Association, around sustainability, which was a great experience. Like the whole studio, and it was quite different learning environment coming from India as well. So it was.
So home was India.
Yes. I'm from India, and I did my Bachelor of Architecture from there. And then when I came here, it was quite an experience for me, quite a change for me.
I mean, having very close people to me that have done a move.
Yeah.
Just seeing what they've gone through, experienced. I don't know what the words are. I can imagine that's huge culture change.
Yes, culturally very different. How the education or the design studio was set up in my previous university versus how all of that was here was quite different. But at the same time, like it wasn't like I've come from one culture and gone into the second culture. The school I went to do my post graduation here in London, it had such a diverse crowd. Like I had people from all over the world in my batch, and it was so exciting to see everyone coming with same sort of differences and in culture. So it wasn't just me going through that in my batch, but there was a great friend who probably is coming with their experiences from their country, or someone from Uruguay, or from someone from like different part of the world. So it felt really, really good to be in such a diverse group. And I think that's that one thing that I just fell in love with London, how diverse it is.
Nice. I get you. It's so nice when there's just a massive melting pot of ideas.
Yes.
It's India. Is there anything there that you learn, or traditions or ways of working or anything like that you still actually carry forward today?
It's hard to generalize. I don't want to say Indians do this and we do this. No, it's nothing like that. But I would say my passion for architecture comes from my hometown. I come from small town, or small in Indian context, but not so small in context. I come from a town called Chandigarh, which is quite known for one particular reason. It was designed by Le Corbusier, and it was one of the first modern cities of independent India after we got independence. And my hometown is very much like Barbican. And I'm not kidding. That's why I love Barbican. Concrete buildings, with some primary color, red, blue, green doors. It's quite well designed. It's got quite a structure. Some people, even in India, like people who don't live in this particular city, find it a bit boring because India is quite organic. If you go to old towns, most of Indian cities, the old cities, are quite organic. Whereas Chandigarh was completely different. It's a grid city. Everything is quite structured. But I think what it does is it just created that love and passion for architecture and urban planning. So from very early days, we've been exposed to this marvelous building, which have been designed with such a beautiful thought, like our parliament, our secretariat building, high court, and all those buildings are beautiful pieces of architecture. And I just have grown looking at this stuff and admiring it and just paying attention to how much of your built environment could just impact your everyday life. The city is so simple that it just takes the day-to-day hustle and bustle nuisance out of your life. Your built environment is so simplified that it is one less thing add to the clutter of your day. So that's why I just love that particular style.
Yeah, whilst I can't handle the Barbican to look at it, when I go there and I look down, how it's all symmetrical,
yes,
that makes me so happy.
It does, isn't it? It gives you that sense of pain.
Yeah, definitely. All the waters and all of the paths all being like that. That's right. I just wish it wasn't
heaven for people with OCD.
I think that's my people for our lives too. It's just the concrete.
It's just the texture, the rawness of it, and then just having few primary colors.
Yeah. No, that's great. And then moving on to
PortSokin.
I'm never going to say that right. I won't try saying it again.
That's all right.
Multi-tenant though, I assume, going in there.
Yes, multi-tenant, some floors. So we started working on that project in 2018. We worked throughout the lockdown COVID period, finished in about 2021. And part of it is occupied, part is just still going under some redesigning and tenant fit out. So the building is still going through the occupation. It's 9 floors, 230,000 square feet. So it's quite a beast of a building, which is going to take a while to fill up.
And you still working in
it? Not at the minute, no.
Yeah, well, but when you were dealing with it, you're obviously dealing with landlords,
the
agents, bearing in mind the future
tenants, yeah.
So what did you do to the atrium?
So we ended up filling it up.
You did?
Yeah. So there was a big atrium. Some people wanted a smaller atrium, some of the agents. But then that atrium would have become a nightmare of a maintenance thing. And the amount of light which everyone would assume an atrium would get wouldn't actually be there in real sense. So we ended up filling it. So we literally added 40,000 square feet inside the building. So it was like building a small building within this one massive atrium. And then we had to do the pile foundation and all sorts of stuff within this building while the underground network was running underneath the building foundation. So not like literally, but there was a huge amount of complexity around it. But we had a brilliant team. I was surrounded by some really, really experienced key team members, from project management to technical designers to amazing team who I knew I could trust, and I was surrounded by that. They would all come together and make this project a success.
Good, because that boggled my mind. And that like makes me pop a bit. I love natural daylight. I like absolutely love natural daylight. So how did you get natural daylight into the space, or what did you do when the atrium was?
So when the atrium was done, there was one element of it which was kept fully glazed, and we made sure that there was no sort of a new walls built around that too, so we can keep it.
So no.
So there was a glazed section around the atrium already and a skylight, so we maintained it to get as much light as possible. And the part of the floor plan which were a lot more deeper than what you would like, and the daylight wasn't that good quality. That those particular elements of the floor plan was elaborated so that core could come into it, the lift areas and staircases. So there was a bit of a space planning exercise and a little bit of extension of the core areas to make sure we were not giving the spaces which were not suited for a work environment.
Yeah, it was kind of taken up with access and
Yeah.
yeah. And where was that before? Just elsewhere.
It was buried right behind the atrium, so we had to bring all of that a little bit further closer.
Yeah. Okay. I can see how the architecture side of you was so happy
Yes.
managing that and bringing that all together.
Yes.
That's great. And how long was that?
That went on for 3 years, 3 to 4 years. That usually, like the D&B industry in the workplace, the lifespan of a project varies from 6 months to a year. So again, it was because it was such a big project. The project timeline was quite extensive as well.
That's incredible. Literally, I'm sort of trying to visualize even being engaged on something.
No, I was COVID time as well, completely cut off from the main design studio at Oktra. And we had our mini PortSokin design studio, and we were in our own little bubble to stay protected from everything else. So all those different elements just created that as a one special project for my memory, because the time we were going through this, what was happening around us. So it just was something to take your mind away from what was happening around the world at that time, and just be a little bit more focused and distracted by this little project.
Amazing. That's great. Oh, what a story. And yeah, I've never actually been to see it. I've just seen pictures, and that's probably actually you posting it, but I need to go there. I want to see this now filled in atrium.
Yes.
And coming back up to date to today, what are you working on, or what have you just finished? That's really exciting.
So right now, actually, I'm working on a project which we found out three days ago that we won it. We were pitching against. I can't name the client just yet because it's just still early days.
Don't have trouble.
Yes. Still early days. They haven't made it publicly announced that they're going to be moving the offices, but it's going to be a substantial move for that particular business. And I've been working with that particular client for the last maybe year and a half. I got involved in when they were not sure whether they want to stay or they want to go, and helping that business like from the very beginning, looking at the business strategy, talent attraction, how the built environment was not really working with their growth plan, and help realigning their workplace strategy to get the right talent for the business and get the current staff motivated. And because a lot of businesses have struggled to get the staff feel motivated and excited and about the work culture after coming out from COVID for different reasons, because everyone has gone through this remarkable, shocking time period. So we've come across this particular client who was going through similar issues where they have just come out of the COVID, but they were struggling to see how they can bring the teams together. Everyone was doing their individual tasks, but that team element was missing. And they were not sure whether the current office environment was the was actually providing any kind of encouragement to have that energy and creativity flow in the business. I got involved, did a big piece of workplace consultancy with them, got worked with the team leaders and everything. And they eventually, at the end of it, we didn't really make a decision whether we should stay or go, but we enabled them with the right information so that they could weigh their options themselves and see what's right fit for them. They made a decision to go, which actually I'm really, really excited about, because not because they're leaving the building they were in, but because of the new building they're going into. It's the new building which they're going into is just so beautiful, so beautifully done. I think it's a building from very, very early 1930s building, which have gone through the similar sort of a renovation during COVID time, what I had done on PortSokin. So old sort of a stock of property of London, very remarkable landmark building. It was, I think I can mention the building, Arding Hop in Clapham. Beautiful building. Hats up to the architect team who's done the renovation works in there. They've paid attention to each and every detail of that space, and they've preserved all the elements of it quite beautifully. So when we walked there with our client to look at their space, it was just the whole fabric of building is so beautiful that we as a workplace designer, we don't have to do that extra layer to bring it to life. The fabric is there, which is going to do its own magic, and it's going to just bring so much energy into this new space. So it was quite nice to work with this particular client from the very beginning and actually be with them on these building visits where they were looking at different building properties and trying to make a decision which one they should go for. And I feel like designers should get opportunity to work at the very beginning with the agents, with the client, because a lot of the elements which we see in a floor plate or in a building, we need to communicate that very early on, and we don't really get opportunity most of the time. Most of the time, the building's been signed off, lease been signed off, and you've been given this clean canvas to do something with it. And then we try and look what works, what doesn't work, and how we can make it work. But if we are looking at different options from the very beginning, we could tell the client or take the client on a journey how the built environment can actually work for you without you having to create your new little office space within it. And that was very key for this building. It wasn't like this project I'm working on, the floor plate isn't like a clean Kante floor plate you see in most of the building. It's got, because it's an old 1930s building, the whole floor plate's been carved into certain section. It's got these really old chunky brick walls, like the load-bearing walls, which are dividing the space in a certain manner. And we design team got understanding of how this particular business works in certain departments or certain zones. And then we've got this piece of puzzle, which is already creating these little zones. So it was quite a task for us to see actually what one function goes in there and how the building naturally creates this beautiful, naturally integrated spaces or segregated spaces for the business. And that whole journey with the client to explain and see how their business could actually work in this particular building has been quite rewarding. And I believe that's the reason we've won this project as well, because they could see that we have a vision for their office space, which aligns with the kind of goal they want to go for. And they can see our passion is basically coming out through our vision for their office, and they could see that. And I think most of the time clients want to work with you when they know you're passionate about it. So it's not that we're trying to sell our idea. We actually believe in our idea, and when you truly believe in something, it just comes out naturally from your pitch. So you don't really have to do that extra effort to to sell that idea.
I agree, but it also sounds like your whole evolve idea, your department,
Yes.
that's almost like coming into play now, isn't it? Because
Yes.
you've truly understood the business. You know how they work in terms of their department. So when they're choosing their building, you can make recommendations on the fabric and the structure of the building, how it's physically constructed to support their workflow.
Yeah.
It's just, that'd be crazy not to point you on the design in that sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of,
Because we want to work as a trusted partner for our clients, and that's the like the main goal for our team Evolve. That we want to evolve with the client. That's why the name kind of comes as well. We want to learn about their business, and that knowledge is a wealth for us because we've got that knowledge at the front end. We know how to like apply and make it work for them. So rather than pushing an idea through which has no link with their business, or actually that learning is going to come after we get appointed, it's like we understand and we are one of those partners to work with the client to take them on that journey.
no, that's amazing. If you can't say anything because you can't, then just say, I can't answer that. That's fine. Because I'm just going to, because it's just so, I just love that. I just love how you've done that. Does the client why did they decide to move, like, rather than staying where they are?
So the current building, which they have right now, their staff was, they've had organic, so this is their first office, and they've gone through quite a lot of growth, and they've just grown in this building organically. And they were all on one floor, which was probably working out fine for the business at the beginning. Over years, they've grown and they've got other elements of the different floors within the building where they've expanded. And because of this organic growth, there was a disconnect between the floor below or floor above, and how the spaces were not really connected, and the spaces were added as and when they were growing. So there was no real strategy behind what kind of spaces they need and how they need. So it was more like a firefighting situation where as and when a space is needed, they would add it. As and when a room is needed, they would add it. And just hope that it would work, the configuration of it or the layout of it. So it wasn't really working out. But we've done plenty of projects where we have provided solutions for clients in situ, where they are in a space and we cut and carve and still try and get the solution right for them. On this particular building, it just doesn't work with their growth plan as well. There's a particular demographic within the business. The business works with a lot of Gen X, young staff members, and the environment is still not catching up with the new ways of working. There were limitations where the natural light within the building or the floor plate was configured in a way where it was creating us and them situation. The certain teams would come across as like in one neighborhood, the other teams would feel part or connected to it. So the fabric of the building was restricting how they work and how they would like to work and how they would like to grow in future. So all these elements were just not working right for them. That's why one thing was clear, that they all needed to be together on one floor, but not just a floor. Where sometimes people think that, oh, we need to be all together on one floor. We need a big open space where we can see everyone. It's not about the visibility. It's about the right balance of integrated spaces and segregated spaces. So you could have a quiet corner where you also need to bump into people for creative energy goes.
Yeah, yes. So I can see how they need to bring everybody in, like in terms of people gelling together as a team and not having departmental risks. That's a key.
Yeah.
So is a driver.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, it's interesting. Oh, it's quite exciting to see that one come together. How do you design for Gen X as opposed to
I wouldn't categorize design on age or gen. I think it's a term which been floated around the industry a lot. Like I would say my team is a perfect example. We have people from very young age group, like early 20s, to people 65 plus in our team of 13, 14 people. So I don't think so. A space is about Gen X or millennials or boomers. I think it's more about personalities. Within the same age group, you could have introverts and extroverts. So I'm more inclined on the personality type design than the age type design. So even in Gen X, you could have some introverts who might not feel very comfortable in a kind of environment an extrovert personality might feel. And I think for that element, I feel like the space should offer all sorts of variety, like for people, and even on a day as well. Like I might feel introvert, or maybe I'm. This is a definition of ambivert. That in certain situation, I might behave like an introvert, um, or in my close group or in my group of people I'm comfortable with, I might suddenly behave like an extrovert. So I think it's the right environment within the office. There's no one right solution. It's that variety of spaces which needs to be designed around the team personalities. There's there's another layer to it. Is about different um like diversity as well, uh, cultural aspect as well. So it's a multi-layered thing. So it's I see it from that perspective rather than from the age perspective.
No, that's interesting. You mentioned that there's a lot of Gen X in this business. I wondered if that changed how you looked at it or changed
Yes,
the
from
more.
that point, what I meant is that because they've got a lot of young staff, which is part of the business and is going to be part of the growth plan. I think one element which stands out with the young element is the integration of technology. How smooth it is. I think every business we go and speak to have frustrations with IT and AD. And it's not that older generations can't work with technology. Actually, it's when we did loads of surveys during COVID time, we actually found the reverse solution. So when COVID hit, everyone thought that all the Gen X would be super quick to do the teams, and because they are so quick with the apps and social media, they'll be very quick to adapt. And all the older people, like 60 plus, they're going to really struggle to do teams and remote working and everything. But actually, the more surveys I did with the businesses, I found it wasn't the case. It wasn't even about the technology. It was about the environment. Young people wanted to be back in the office because they were in flat shed and in a smaller environment. They're working from the dining table, so they weren't able to get the right space. Whereas someone 60 plus had come to a certain level in their lifestyle where they might have a proper study at home, so they were absolutely fine adapting to the technology. And that's where I think it's very difficult to say one thing or another. But what younger generation in a particular business, like what I mentioned, is looking for is adaptation to technology, variety of spaces, and also something like more energetic environment. And again, because I can't name the business, this particular business needs that energy because they are designing a product which is going out in the market and represent quite energetic product. So that's why their work environment needed to reflect an element of it. And that request wasn't coming from stakeholders that, oh, we're selling something super creative, super energetic. Our offices should be like that. It was their staff. So out of all the study we did, the staff was like, our offices do not represent what we do. So how can we bring that energy back into it? And all that was coming from a certain demographic. That's how it led to discussions from why we need certain things and in more context.
Very cool. The survey strategy, like understanding where they're at and where they need to go and align.
I think it's a very helpful tool.
Yeah.
Very helpful tool.
You've done business strategy anyway, but aligning like kind of those two strategies and bringing them together under one roof.
Yes, that always is a bit of a challenging task, because you've got these stakeholders who have a certain vision for a business, and then you have staff who are asking for something else, and you can't just go with one element, because then you are not going for a successful project, not for the client and not for ourselves as well, because we need to make sure the end user is getting most out of it as well as the business growth plans are aligned with it. So during this whole journey with them, most of my time is spent on understanding these two differences and bringing the common themes between the two elements and seeing where the vision and what they need can combine.
A business coach. Oh, amazing. And moving up, big dreams, wild, like aspirations. Monika, what would you love to do?
That is the most tricky question, isn't it? I bet everyone say.
Before I started asking this question, I thought designers, like they'll wait to tell me that they want to work on Mars, they want to work underwater. Like I thought I'd just hear it all, but everybody is like, I don't know, not quite. I don't know, but everybody does find it a difficult question. Yeah, it's fair enough.
I guess if I answer this question in context to like my career right now or the industry we are in, I currently really enjoy what I do. And every time there's been a move in my career from architecture to strategy to workplace, and then back into strategy, all these turns of my career have only happened because I had a strong inclination towards a certain project, or it's always been circumstances where you feel most passionate about. And I feel like I have been quite true and honest to myself. I've always followed my passion up the situations where I felt I wasn't comfortable. And most people do that as well. I have tried to get out of that situation as soon as possible. And I would like to keep working on that side of my growth, where I would like to continue working where I feel the most passionate and not let the day-to-day stuff drag me down.
Right.
For me, it really matters that I'm contributing towards something, and then I have my voice is heard. Not publicly speaking or anything like that. Like whatever I'm doing, I'm contributing to it. I would like to be one of the contributing element or member to it. And I think I would like to focus my future energy into that as well, to do something which is more meaningful, more passionate for my personal level, as well as the people I'm doing is as well. There should be a more meaningful purpose to it. And if we answer it from the crazy side, I never wanted to be an architect.
You didn't?
I actually wanted to go to Mars and move.
It's
All the things which you said.
international.
I wanted to be an astronaut. People who are close to me, they know that. I trained in school, all my subjects, everything was aligned for me to study aeronautical engineering. But that didn't work out for me. So the stars didn't align for me. And I ended up doing architecture, which I don't regret, because I have never looked back at it. So I feel like the life that the turns the career has taken has always shown me the right path, and I have followed my passion. That's why I feel like landed on the right path for myself.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. When you said you mentioned you're cycling past that building that I'm not going to say the name because I always get wrong. And you're very passionate about that. You're really passionate about this current project because you've been like really involved in making a big difference, and clearly you're aligning everyday needs with business vision, and then putting in place workplace strategy and kind of like a very big kind of business coaching, mentoring, strategic piece, which I get that must be extremely fulfilling.
Yeah.
I guess. Do you have a particular passion in terms, just a personal passion of a project that really does, just align with personal excitement?
As in the project I've done?
No.
No, as in, or like an ideal project.
Yeah.
Not really, actually.
Okay.
I think it just depends. Yeah, it just depends on client to client, project to project. There have been some projects where I felt that, oh, we've connected with the client at the right time and we could help them on this journey, but actually it didn't work out because for various reasons, whether the business vision which they wanted to go on actually suddenly changed, or some circumstances didn't really work out, and we had to just make sacrifices there and leave that journey over there. And you feel sorry about it, that you've learned so much about them over a period, but actually it's not giving you any end result. You've given them all that information, but then there's no real appetite from the client to actually make use of that information. One of my old colleagues used to say that, and I say that quite often, is that most of the time the consultant will come and they will collect all the data about your business. They'll do all these big strategies about you, but they'll tell you, but so what? Has it answered? So what? So I can tell you, oh, your business is performing X% on real estate, or your business is doing this much usage, and you tell me, so what? Right? Okay, I have the data, and but what does it mean? That next level of application only comes when there is a vision or appetite from the business to make a difference, to do something about it. So that's why it's not for us to make a project super successful or a failure. And it's a journey on which we have to go with the client, and the client needs to have the right appetite for it to make that difference. And the project which I have really enjoyed working on have been with some of these clients who had the right appetite, and then they listen to us. It's not us telling them strategy. No one knows their business better than themselves, but we are kind of like showing them a mirror and helping them to understand, but also applying that knowledge on that to answer that so what for them. That kind of project definitely is more super successful ones, because you've taken something and applied your knowledge and actually delivered it as well.
Amazing. Monika, the insights you shared are absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for
I
joining.
didn't ever talk this much. Yes.
No, we even run over time, so after all of that, but yeah, they're always trying to keep it short. But thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And I think that's some golden nuggets in there for everyone.
Good. I'm glad to come over and do the session.
Thank you.